In 1974, uh, humanity fired up the massive Arecibo radio telescope down in Puerto Rico.
Oh, right, the big one.
Yeah, exactly, the giant dish. And we beamed this, high-powered 3-minute message straight toward a cluster of stars about 25,000 light years away.
Just blasting it out there.
Literally just shouting into the void. And we proudly included our DNA structure, our global population, and a helpful little map of our solar system.
Which, I mean, sounds nice in theory.
Right. We thought we were just being neighborly, leaving a cosmic calling card for whoever was out there.
But based on what we're looking at today, that might have been a colossal mistake.
Yeah, because according to this chilling new scientific hypothesis we're taking a deep dive into today, we may have just painted a massive glowing target on our own backs. Welcome to the deep dive, by the way. I'm so glad you could join us for this one because, wow, it gets dark.
It really does. It's a text that forces a complete reevaluation of our place in the universe. And if you're listening to this, you are likely already familiar with the Fermi Paradox, right? That classic riddle of, well, where is everybody?
The ultimate cosmic ghost town.
Exactly. We look at the Drake equation. We see billions of years of cosmic history. We know there are just countless habitable planets out there.
Billions of them.
Billions. And yet our telescopes hear absolutely nothing, just dead silence.
Right. And we usually comfort ourselves with, like, a few standard explanations for that silence.
The safe assumptions.
Yeah, we assume intelligent life is just incredibly rare, or that the distances are just way too vast for any real communication.
Or maybe we're just the first ones to arrive at the cosmic party, like we're the early birds.
Which is a comforting thought. But the source material we are unpacking today throws all of those comforting theories right out the airlock.
Completely discards them.
It proposes that the aliens aren't missing at all. They aren't rare. They are absolutely out there, but they are intentionally, aggressively hiding.
Because the silence we observe isn't the silence of an empty universe. It's the silence of a universe holding its breath.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because going from we're floating alone in an empty void to we are surrounded by incredibly advanced beings who are deliberately lurking in the dark, that is a massive paradigm shift.
It's terrifying, honestly.
It really is. To understand why they're hiding, we need to look at the central metaphor of today's deep dive. The text asks you to imagine the universe not as a vacuum, but as a pitch-black forest at night.
The dark forest. It's a profoundly unsettling framework when you really think about it.
Walk us through that forest.
So in this scenario, the forest is actually teeming with life. It is crowded with countless advanced civilizations.
But no one is making a sound.
Right, because it's pitch black, no one can see anyone else clearly. So every single civilization in this forest acts as a silent, armed hunter. They're just creeping through the trees, absolutely terrified of snapping a twig.
And when we say snapping a twig, we mean like emitting any kind of signal. And it's not just a matter of, turning down the volume on their planetary radios. The text gets into the mechanics of this, and it is extreme.
What's fascinating here is the sheer scale of the evasion. It is staggering.
Like, how far did they go?
We are talking about advanced civilizations spending millions of years engineering their entire existence around absolute silence.
Billions of years just learning how to hide.
Yes. They employ planetary-scale cloaking. They actively absorb their own thermal emissions because...
Oh, right. Heat.
Exactly. According to the laws of thermodynamics, heat is incredibly hard to hide against the cold background of space. So they have to scrub every conceivable trace of their technological footprint.
Wow.
They treat the void as deadly quiet, which isn't a natural state. It's a highly engineered state born of pure, absolute paranoia.
It reminds me less of a forest and more of, like, submarine warfare.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's less like refusing to put up a neon sign in the woods and more like a nuclear submarine actively pinging its sonar in completely hostile waters.
Right, the active sonar ping.
Sure, if you ping, you might figure out what's around you, but every single attack sub in a 100-mile radius now has your exact coordinates. You don't ping unless you want to invite a torpedo.
That is a perfect parallel. Active sonar reveals the environment, sure, but it primarily reveals the source.
You light yourself up.
Exactly. Every hunter in that dark forest knows that to broadcast your position is to invite immediate destruction.
Wait, I have to push back on this grim logic on behalf of everyone listening.
Fair enough. It's pretty bleak.
Why does the default have to be hostility? I mean, this completely shatters the whole Star Trek vision of the future we all grew up with, you
It's
know?
the Federation.
Right.
Yeah.
If a civilization is advanced enough to build planetary cloaking devices and, like, bend the laws of physics, wouldn't they have solved their resource scarcity?
You would think so, logically.
Why wouldn't they just mine uninhabited solar systems or gather energy from dead stars? Why is the immediate reaction to instantly blow up anyone they meet?
It sounds counterintuitive, I know, until you look at the fundamental constraints of the universe, which the text defines as the two axioms of cosmic sociology.
Okay, lay the axioms on us.
Axiom 1. Survival is the primary need of any civilization.
Makes sense. Gotta stay alive.
And Axiom 2. Civilization continuously grows and expands, but the total matter in the universe remains constant.
So it's exponential growth colliding with finite space.
Game theory forces their hand here. Even if an advanced civilization can mine a dead star today, life, just by its very biological nature, grows exponentially over time.
Right, populations always expand.
Eventually, whether it takes thousands or millions of years, the resources will run out. But the real driver of this immediate hostility isn't just future resource hoarding.
It's not just about the local space minerals.
No, it is a mathematical concept the text calls the chain of suspicion.
Let's dive into that, because the chain of suspicion is where the math of this becomes terrifyingly logical. It's essentially a cosmic version of the prisoner's dilemma, right?
Very much so. Let's walk through it. Imagine you are a hunter in the dark forest and you spot another civilization.
Okay, I see them.
You might consider yourself a peaceful species, but can you guarantee, absolutely guarantee, that the civilization you just spotted is peaceful?
No, of course not. Because the distances are so vast, any communication would take decades or even centuries.
Exactly.
You can't just call them up on the phone and read their intent. By the time they get your hello, centuries have passed.
Furthermore, even if you somehow miraculously deduce that they are peaceful, can you guarantee that they know that you are peaceful?
And there's the loop. The trap begins. I think you're good, but do you think that I think you're good?
Right.
And do I think that you think that I think you're good? It's just this endless spiral of paranoia.
It creates an unbridgeable gap of trust. And when your species' ultimate survival is on the line, you just cannot risk assuming the other party is friendly.
You can't gamble with your entire species.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the mathematically safest move, literally the only move that guarantees your continued survival, is to eliminate the potential threat before they go through that exact same logical loop and decide to eliminate you.
Wow. Sheep first or die. And it's not just about them being a threat today, right? The text brings up this concept of a technological explosion, which makes waiting even more dangerous.
Oh, this is a crucial point. If we connect this to human history, the danger becomes really obvious.
How so?
Well, for 100,000 years, humanity used stone tools.
Just chipping away at rocks.
Right. Then, suddenly, within a cosmic blink of an eye, we're talking just a few hundred years, we went from horse-drawn carriages to splitting the atom and launching satellites.
Right. The Industrial Revolution to the space age in virtually no time.
That is a technological explosion.
So if an apex predator spots a primitive, seemingly harmless civilization, they don't see a cute bunch of cavemen discovering fire.
No, they see a ticking time bomb.
They know that in just a few thousand years, which is absolutely nothing on a galactic timescale, just a rounding error, that harmless civilization could experience a technological explosion.
And suddenly possess weapons capable of destroying the predator.
Therefore, you do not wait.
You eliminate the threat while it is still primitive. You shoot first, not out of malice or evil, but out of cold mathematical self-preservation.
Which brings us to a very, very uncomfortable mirror we need to hold up to ourselves.
Yeah, this is where it gets tough.
If every other civilization in the universe is actively hiding, if the overarching rule of the cosmos is stay quiet or die, what exactly have we been doing over the last century?
We have been acting with profound ignorance of our environment.
We have been screaming.
Yeah.
We've been the loudest, most obnoxious neighbors imaginable. I mean, since the invention of high-powered radio and radar, we've just been bleeding electromagnetic radiation into the void.
Unstoppable waves of it. And it isn't just that one Arecibo message from 1974 that you mentioned earlier.
Oh, no, it's way more than that.
Our military early warning radar systems, which are incredibly powerful, they just sweep the sky constantly. We are leaking a massive growing sphere of electromagnetic noise outward into the galaxy every single second.
And we think we're doing something noble. We think, we're looking for friends. But under the dark forest theory, we look absolutely insane.
Completely unhinged.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
The text uses a very specific, memorable analogy for this. It says humanity is like a lost child screaming in a jungle full of predators.
This raises an important question, though, about intent versus reality. This contrast is striking.
The child doesn't know any better.
Right. The child thinks shouting will bring a friendly rescue party. The child doesn't understand that the jungle is filled with armed, hyper-paranoid hunters who view any noise as a localized threat that needs to be neutralized instantly.
And honestly, it's not even a dignified scream. Like, we aren't just sending complex mathematics and poetry into the void.
No, we're blasting everything.
We're blasting reality TV, car commercials, and old sitcom reruns into the cosmos. I feel like if the alien apex predators don't vaporize us to secure their future resources, they might do it just to cancel our broadcasting.
It provides a moment of dark humor, sure, but the actual implications are severe.
Yeah.
We are standing in the middle of the clearing, yelling at the top of our lungs, entirely oblivious to the fact that the hunters in the trees do not send rescue parties.
So let's talk about what happens when one of those hunters finally hears us.
The inevitable conclusion.
The text points out that top cosmologists, when they run these game theory scenarios, they issue a very stark warning. If a highly advanced civilization detects our radio leaks, they are not going to send a diplomatic envoy to Earth.
No.
They aren't going to send a welcome message saying, hey, we heard you.
Doing so would violate their own core rule of survival.
The cloaking, the hiding.
Exactly. If they send a radio message, they create a traceable line right back to their own coordinates. They would expose themselves to the rest of the dark forest.
So they have to strike anonymously and instantaneously.
It has to be quick and untraceable.
And the mechanism the text describes for this strike isn't, a fleet of flying saucers that we can track on radar for months as they approach. It's something far more terrifying.
Much more efficient.
They would use a kinetic weapon traveling at near the speed of light. Let's break down the how of that, because the physics involved here are just mind-bending.
So a kinetic weapon isn't an explosive device. It's not a nuclear warhead with a timer.
No payload.
Right. It is essentially just a physical mass, a heavy rock or a slug of dense metal. But when you accelerate a physical object to near the speed of light, relativistic physics takes over.
Right. Einstein's equations enter the chat.
Exactly. As an object approaches the speed of light, its relative mass increases exponentially.
The kinetic energy becomes virtually infinite, right?
Yes. A projectile, the size of a baseball, if hitting Earth at 99% the speed of light, wouldn't just leave a crater in a city.
A meteor strike.
It would deliver the destructive force of a massive global nuclear arsenal. It would instantly vaporize the atmosphere and shatter the planetary crust.
And here is the truly terrifying part of that physics lesson for you listening. Because the weapon is traveling at the speed of light, there is zero early warning system.
None. The physics don't allow for a warning.
The visual evidence that the weapon is coming, like the light bouncing off of it, travels at the exact same speed as the weapon itself.
They arrive at the exact same time.
You wouldn't see it coming in a telescope. A global siren wouldn't go off. You wouldn't have months to send Bruce Willis to space to drill into it.
Of heroics.
1 second, you're sitting in traffic listening to this deep dive, and the next exact millisecond, the planet is just a cloud of superheated dust. It is the ultimate stealth strike.
It is clean, instantaneous, and perfectly mathematically logical from the perspective of an apex predator.
It just solves their problem.
It eliminates the loud, naive threat of humanity without the predator ever having to reveal who they are or where they fired from.
Wow. So let's connect the dots on what we've unpacked today. We started with the innocent mystery of the Fermi Paradox, asking why a universe seemingly primed for life is just so quiet.
The initial puzzle.
We journeyed from that assumption of an empty void into the terrifying game theory-driven logic of the pitch-black forest.
Right.
We explored how the mathematical trap of finite resources and exponential growth creates a chain of suspicion, forcing every single advanced civilization to act as a silent, ruthless hunter.
We learned that in a universe governed by cosmic anxiety, broadcasting your location doesn't bring friends. It brings a relativistic kinetic weapon.
We realize now that humanity, with our century of television, radar, and radio broadcasts, has been acting like that screaming child in a jungle full of snipers.
An incredibly dangerous position to be in.
So what does this all mean? Should we immediately shut down our deep space transmitters? Do we try to cloak our planet? turn off the radar and just try to learn the rules of the dark forest before we make any more noise.
Well, that leads to one final, incredibly haunting thought that builds on the timeline of everything we've discussed today.
I'm bracing myself.
The text mentions that we have been blindly broadcasting our signals into deep space for about a century.
Since the early radio days.
Right. It also warns that retaliation from a cosmic apex predator would come traveling at the speed of light.
Oh, right. Those early radio broadcasts from the 1920s and 30s have been expanding outward in a bubble. They've been traveling at the speed of light for 100 years now.
They are 100 light years deep into that dark forest,
Touching hundreds of star systems.
If an advanced civilization, say 50 light years away, heard our first radio signals and instantly, according to the laws of the dark forest, fired a light-speed kinetic weapon back at our coordinates, that weapon would be arriving right about now. The sobering reality we have to face is this. Is going silent even a viable option anymore? Or is the damage already done?
Oh, wow. Have our past actions, our completely naive century of screaming into the void, already made our destruction inevitable, no matter how quiet we try to be tomorrow?
The bullet might already be in the air.
That is a thought that will definitely change how you look at the stars tonight. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay silent, and we'll catch you next time.